Reinforcements have arrived as Josh Downs, Ashton Dulin, and Tyler Goodson all get back on the field for the Indianapolis Colts. Let's get to it.
You are Locked On Colts, your daily Indianapolis Colts podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you all for making Locked On Colts your first listen today and every day. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. This episode is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every single detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for the highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward Mazda Move and Be Moved. Hello, everyone. My name is Zach Hicks, your resident film nerd of HorseshoeHuddle.com, and my partner Jake Arthur is the credential Crocs on the ground over there for Roundtable Sports. He is not joining me today. It is just me getting you guys ready for this game against the Tennessee Titans. Don't worry, Jake will be back after the game on Sunday night to talk all about, hopefully, another Colts victory as they look to move to 7-1 to start this season. We're going to give you guys the typical Friday rundown. We're going to talk about the injuries and news updates, talk about the Colts offense, Colts defense, and then I'll give you my final score prediction. I like being on the positive side of the score predictions nowadays because early in the season, I always picked against them to try to not jinx them. And then once they lost to the Rams, I started switching my picks to only pick for them. Now I'm 3-0 picking the Colts to win games. So we'll see what I end up going with here at the end of this show. I don't think it's going to be much of a surprise to any of you guys listening. But yeah, Indianapolis Colts got some pretty good injury news here heading into this Tennessee Titans matchup. Josh Downs is back. Tyler Goodson is back. Ashton Dulin is back. And then most of the other guys who were limited throughout the week, like Kenny Moore, he is going to be healthy as well. So all those guys are back on the field for the Colts. The only two notable players that are out are Samson Ebukam and Jalen Jones, who they activated him from IR to open his practice window this week. He did not ultimately get cleared to play, so he's still on injured reserve. So he will not be playing this weekend. But outside of Ebukam and Jalen Jones and maybe Tyquan Lewis, who is questionable with his injury, he didn't log a single practice this week, but the Colts are still leaving it open for him. But outside of those guys, Colts are rolling into this game relatively healthy. Again, I can't say enough about getting Josh Downs back. That's your third down playmaker for the Colts, one of the better players on this Colts offense that has just been fantastic. And then when it comes to Goodson and Ashton Dulin, I mean, that's your two gunners back. I know last week they had Amir Abdullah out there. They had Chris Lamons out there at times. A.D. Mitchell got some run at gunner, which I thought was really interesting. But to get Dulin and Goodson back, especially Dulin, who is, an all-pro gunner in this league, getting them back is a very underrated aspect. And then Dulin as well, having those very limited aspects in terms of or Dulin as being a guy who can return kicks and also play some offense as well. I mean, just getting those guys back on the field is big for this Colts team. So Colts are rolling into this pretty healthy. Again, the edge rush room might be a little bit concerning, but JT Tuimoloau might get a couple more snaps, and that'll be really interesting to see. Maybe Adetomiwa get some snaps at defensive end, so we'll see what happens with that. But for the Tennessee Titans, it's a little bit bleaker when it comes to their injury report. Now, it looked rougher earlier in the week when guys like Arden Key were also missing practice, but no Jeffrey Simmons and no Calvin Ridley for the Tennessee Titans, two of the most important pieces to this Titans team, if you could say that, when they with their current record. When it comes to the Titans defense, without having Jeffrey Simmons, it really takes away that one element that scares you on their defense, because they haven't really been winning in the secondary, especially with L'Jarius Sneed now an injured reserve. And up front, they didn't really generate any pressure outside of Jeffrey Simmons, who's been arguably the best defensive tackle in football. Now with him out this week, it makes things a lot easier for the Colts in terms of their game planning. T'Vondre Sweat did come back last week and had a really good game for them. So, it's they lose Simmons, but Sweat's still in there. But having them down Simmons is a massive loss for the Titans. And then if you look at Calvin Ridley, he hasn't had the most positive season there for the Titans, but the Colts in their first matchup gave him the Charvarius Ward matchup. They put Ward on him. So it shows that the Colts are really just aware of where Ridley was at all times, and they want to take Ridley out of that game plan. So now with no Ridley out there for the Titans, the Colts can kind of focus on other aspects of their offense or just focus on some other pieces there too. So This is going to be a very interesting game, to say the least, for the Colts and Titans. It's still one of the biggest spreads I've ever seen in the NFL. I believe it's settled at 14 right now. Colts are favored by 14. And yeah, it's just a game where the Colts just need to take care of business, So to begin the breakdown here on the Colts offense versus the Titans defense, like I said, without Jeffrey Simmons, it takes away the biggest fear element, the biggest game wrecker element that the Titans have, which is Simmons just beating guys up front quickly and creating disruptive and negative plays. Without him in there, the key to the game now for the Colts is just keep moving that ball forward and avoid those negative plays like they've been doing. And it makes that plan a lot easier now without Simmons. But yeah, for the Colts, it really is just don't be your own worst enemy in this game. When we see very heavily favored teams lose to poor teams like the Tennessee Titans, it's usually because of penalties or turnovers that their offense has. So for the Colts, just avoid the penalties, avoid the turnovers like they've been doing all season long, move the ball forward and just punch it in the red zone. I know it's such a simplistic thing that you would say every single week with any team in any offense, but especially so against the Tennessee Titans, where the only way I can really see them beating the Colts is if the Colts beat themselves. Like this Titans team doesn't have a lot of firepower on either side of the ball right now. So the Colts just can't be their own worst enemy on Sunday. That's going to be the most important aspect. In terms of schematically, Shane Steichen in the past has struggled with defensive coordinators like this, that Ravens tree like defensive coordinator stuff, but he has just been on a roll this year. He's kind of exercised all those demons with Daniel Jones and this offense this season. So I think a lot of it's just going to be getting that ball out quick, using misdirection and naked boot plays like they did in the first matchup. The Colts really peppered the naked bootleg plays a lot against the Titans in that first game. And just getting the ball out in space to these playmakers and letting them do their thing. The Colts defense is still pretty banged up, especially with with Ebukam and then maybe Lewis being out this week. But the Colts offense is a full go. I mean, they have every single starter from week one playing in this game on offense. And it should be one of those games where, again, you can just get into what you want to do. You can get into your naked bootlegs that worked the first time. You can maybe get some shot plays in there. I don't really think this has to be this like crazy, like, okay, schematically, here's what we have to do against the Titans, where it's just operate the way you've been operating the last couple of weeks. Make sure everyone knows where they need to be, hit their landmarks, and just move the ball forward. It's not this intricate game plan against the Titans, because the Titans are just so shorthanded and kind of lifeless on that side of the ball. So as long as guys can just step up and perform the way that we know they're capable of performing, this Colts offense should be able to put up points. I said all year long that whenever the Colts are at home, I have no fear of them dropping 30 plus points, but especially so against a Titans team that hasn't really held anybody under 30 points. We saw what Drake May just did to their defense this past week, and while Drake May has been really great this year, Daniel Jones has been just as good, or maybe a little lesser. I don't know, like around the same level all year long. I think the expectation should be pretty high for this Colts offense to drop 30 plus points if they need to, and just getting out of this with a comfortable win. I think Daniel Jones is going to have a really strong game. This Titans defense just doesn't contest a lot of passes. And I think Jones is going to be able to find a lot of those dump downs and just easy outs to get the ball out of his hand and move that ball forward. So, yeah, a lot of people say trap game. I get it. It's a thing in the NFL because the margin for error is so short in the NFL compared to like college, where you have like Alabama playing against, Little Sisters of the Poor, FCS or Division II type stuff all the time. But like in the pros, man, like all these teams are a lot closer. I get the trap game stuff, but this Colts team is just so much more talented. They're so healthy on offense right now. They're rolling in everything they're doing. So I can't even really go into this too schematically when it comes to beating the Titans defense, because it's just like, just do what you've been doing, pass early, set up the play action early out of those heavier personnel sets, get the ball in space to Warren, get the ball in space to Pittman Jr., find your man beaters with Josh Downs and Alec Pierce, and just punch it in when you get in the red zone. Like it's such a simplistic thing, but they've been so surgical on that side of the ball that it's hard for me to really go into, anything crazy. The big thing is just making sure Tavondre Sweat doesn't get some splash plays, and we're good. We're good from there. So, guys, that's all I really have to say about the Colts offense versus Titans defense. I think it should be a pretty simplistic matchup for them there. But maybe the more intriguing aspect of this is, can the Colts defense bounce back against an offense that has really struggled on Tennessee's side? I think that'll be a really big thing to watch on Sunday. But first, we are in the throes of the NFL season, and FanDuel has an offer that you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right, pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love how FanDuel gives me so many ways to play. I've built parlays, tried player props, and even followed the live lines during games. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. So whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. Make sure you're checking out FanDuel at FanDuel.com, locked on at FanDuel.com, FanDuel, where the action starts. If you guys are a business owner, here's the truth. SaaS promised to make work easier, but now the average company is buried by hundreds of apps that slow down your teams and simply don't work together. That's SaaS, not SaaS, that's sad. Software as a disservice. That's why you have to get Rippling. Rippling is a unified platform for global HR, payroll, IT, and finance all in one place. They've helped millions of businesses replace the mess of disconnected tools in one system designed to give leaders clarity, speed, and control. By uniting your employees, teams, and departments in one system, Rippling moves the bottlenecks, busy work, and silos your software has created. Whether you want to run your entire HR, IT, or finance operations as one, or fill in the gaps with your software stack, Rippling can do it all. And right now, you can get 6 months free when you use rippling.com/LockedOnNFL. Use Rippling, RIPPLING.com/LockedOnNFL. That's rippling.com/LockedOnNFL for 6 months free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, Locked On Colts Everydayers, we are back after me fumbling through some of that stuff there a second ago, but we are back talking all about this Colts and Titans matchup. And yeah, so we talked about how the Colts offense, where again, it's just kind of getting to your P's and Q's, doing what has been working all year long. Don't shoot yourself in the foot with bad penalties. And I think some of that does apply with the Colts defense versus the Titans offense, where again, the biggest way that this Titans offense can really move the ball this year is if you have self-inflicted wounds, if you're committing long defensive pass interference, if you're getting these late hits on quarterbacks or late hits on players and give them those free 15 or, defensive pass interference calls can be like 50-yard gains down the field. You want to make sure that you eliminate those type of mistakes. But I think it is a little bit of a deeper talk here with this Colts defense, because the Colts defense has been a bit more up and down this year than the Colts offense. That's no shock to anyone listening here. So the key really against Cam Ward and the Titans is just getting that pressure on the quarterback. They are a lot healthier up front on the offensive line now than what they were a couple weeks ago when the Colts played them. J.C. Latham is back at right tackle. I believe they're a bit healthier on the interior as well. So it won't be as easy a time for this Colts pass rush to get home, especially with Ebukam and Lewis potentially out as well. But I think that the key for the Colts is just you want to do a lot of contain rushes against Cam Ward. Cam Ward is this backyard style of quarterback who is fine with spinning out the back of pockets and running around like a chicken with his head cut off in the backfield to throw back across his body and throw all these crazy arm angles and stuff like that. But he's still a rookie quarterback to where playing from the pocket can be a bit dangerous for him. Playing as a true pocket passer in there can be a bit of a struggle. So you really want to just contain him and confide him into the pocket. If we look back in that Week 3 game, a lot of the Titans' biggest plays against the Colts came when they lost that contain and pass rush, or just lost the contain in general, even in the run game as well. So I think the key for this one for the Colts defensive ends is use those long arms, use those bull rushes, get that depth in the pocket, and then just stay with just make sure you're not letting him get outside the edge of the pocket there. So drive those tackles as far back as you can in the pocket, and then just contain. And when it comes to disrupting, you have your interior rushers, your Tommy Watt, Adebores, your DeForest Buckners, Grover Stewart's been great this year. Neville Gallimore even got a sack in the last time these two teams played. Let those guys be your true disruptors. Let those guys get home and get the hits on the quarterback. But if you're someone tasked with the outside rush, whether it's a blitz on the outside or whether it's a stunt and a defensive tackle is going out there, or if it's the defensive ends like typical, make sure that you're keeping that outside, because if Cam Ward gets out of the pocket and gets around the sidelines, that's when he can really get those big plays and do some damage. You want to make this Titans team, kind of go bend, don't break against them. You want to make this Titans team have to go 10 plus plays on you, because they can't get out of their own way this year. Cam Ward has had a turnover problem, throwing interceptions. He's had quite a few fumbles, including just dropping the ball in the backfield a few times. So the biggest thing really is just keeping him confined to the pocket. Don't allow those big explosive plays, and make them have to go 10 plus plays on you, because this Titans team is just not capable of doing that. And they're a very conservative team this year. I know they've had the coaching changes, so we'll see if that changes with Mike McCoy. But remember the crazy gaffes they had in that first matchup where they were kicking 50 or 60 plus field goals constantly against this team. So if you can get them into 4th and 2, 4th and 3 situations around midfield, they'll just kick it, or they won't go for it like the Colts do. So I think the key is just, again, kind of bend, don't break, and make them have to go all these yards against you, because they just have not shown the ability to do that all season long. So make them have to work for everything. I will also add to this too that the Colts run defense has been a lot better in recent weeks. Now I know they've played against the running backs have been Michael Carter Jr. and Kamani Vidal, who actually looks great in the non-Colts games he's played. So maybe that does speak to the Colts looking better. But if the Colts can make them one-dimensional, really get on them in the running game and make Cam Ward have to be Superman on Sunday, that bodes well for what they want to do, because Ward, again, so talented. I think he's got a really bright future, but he's got the turnover problem. He's had some up and down moments this year. It's going to be key just to make him have to throw the ball as much as possible and make him get into that desperation mode, because then you can really force some turnovers and force some mistakes out of him. But yeah, that's going to be the biggest thing for the Colts defense. The biggest question, obviously, is still this Colts secondary. The safety play has been really good, but the corners on the outside, Mekhi Blackman's been up and down. And obviously, whatever the situation's going to be at the other corner spot with Cameron Mitchell and Jonathan Edwards splitting snaps out there, we'll see if that changes or we have some more clarity on that. I know they were pretty even split last week, but this Colts secondary just needs to just make sure they can capitalize on those mistakes that come from Cam Ward. First drive last time these two teams played, Cam Ward threw a pick 6 to Kenny Moore. Kenny Moore's luckily back out there again for the Colts. So hopefully we can see some repeat of that stuff there. But it's kind of hard talking about this matchup because, with the Chargers game, a lot of the Chargers, when we were doing our preview for that, was if you do these certain things against the Chargers, these certain things against the Chargers, you can find some success, because it was a fairly even-ish matchup. With the Titans, man, I don't want to be disrespectful here, but I feel like they've also disrespected themselves with how they've played this year. They haven't been competitive in many games. So realistically, it's just don't make mistakes. Don't make life easier for them. Make them have to just go through you, and they have shown that they really can't do that this year. So I don't want to downplay any opponent in the NFL. But this Titans team has certainly deserved the 14-point spread going into this game. And the Colts have deserved the 14 spread the other way as well. Just how drastically different these two teams have been. So we'll see. I think the Titans are going to throw some good punches early, but I think for the Colts on both sides of the ball, just offense, just keep doing what you're doing, move that ball forward. And on defense, just don't allow explosive plays. Keep everything in front of you. Make them have to work for everything. And I think the Colts are going to be pretty good in this one. So, coming up, guys, I'm going to give my final score prediction. And I think you kind of know where that's going from where I've kind of, been with this whole episode. But I'll give my final score prediction, some other kind of minor insights and guesses on what could transpire on Sunday. This episode is brought to you by Mazda's moving the game forward. For those who believe it's not about just playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than just put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. This week's moment that moved the game forward is Amir Abdullah's 81-yard kick return against the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers come out of half. They have a 6-play, 74-yard drive to bring it within striking distance right out of the half. And you think that, the Colts might be losing momentum in the game, but Amir Abdullah's big kick return set up a Colts touchdown 2 plays later. And just like that, the Colts were able to extend their lead with a 2-point conversion. And that play really moved the game forward for the Colts and helped them move to 6-1 this past week. But when you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like that, there's more to every highlight. There's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. All right, Locked On Colts Everydayers. We are back previewing this Colts and Titans matchup. Colts and Titans Part 2 on this 2025 season, diving into my prediction and kind of other guesses going into the weekend here. And I think everything's kind of been said already about this matchup. Again, one of the biggest spreads I've ever seen in the NFL, 14 points on most betting sites. I've seen it up to 15.5 on some as well. And this isn't to say that the Colts should just bench everybody and put their backups out there to win. But the way this Colts team has been playing, I think that they should be able to handle business on Sunday. So, my final prediction is going to be something pretty big. Like I would go probably 34. I'll go 34-17, in this one. So not the craziest beatdown the Colts have had all year, but just the way this Colts offense is playing right now, it's so surgical. They're getting back one of their most impactful players in Josh Downs, a guy who helps them convert third down and is so important in a lot of those situations. And this Titans defense is just so shorthanded right now without Jeffrey Simmons. And even L'Jarius Sneed, who hasn't been great this year, it's still a guy that we're starting over other players, having no Simmons and no Sneed is so big on their defense. And with how the Colts are blocking in the run game right now, with how they're just designing their offense to beat down on opponents, I think the Colts are going to be able to get what they want on offense. And then on defense, this Colts defense has not been great, but they've been taking the ball away at a high level. And what the Tennessee Titans been doing on offense a lot this year is turning the ball over at a pretty high rate. Hopefully the Colts pass rush can get some pressure. I mean, DeForest Buckner is coming off his best game of the season. Tommy Wadabore is having a really good breakout season as well. And we get what everyone's been calling for, right? JT Tuimoloau is likely to get more snaps on Sunday, and maybe his long arms and powerful frame can help condense that pocket, keep Cam Ward in tight, and lead to more sacks for the Colts defense. So, there certainly is an avenue where this could be like a shootout type game, but at the end of the day, I just think this Colts offense is going to be so efficient and effective against the Titans defense that I'm not too worried about what the outcome could be. I mean, I know divisional games are weird. We saw the Giants beat the Eagles earlier this year. We've seen upsets in division before, but this Colts team is a mature and just ready football team this season. We haven't seen them take any opponent lightly. And every time they've played a team of this caliber this season, they've won by 3+ scores, four scores and 5 scores in some of these games. I mean, they've been able to take care of business when they need to. And I think that's what we're going to see here on Sunday. But getting into some fun predictions and getting into some of your guys' comments as well, because we have a little bit of time here to fill out. Jake and I, when we do these Friday shows, we like to throw in like random predictions and guesses and stuff. And I want to throw this out there one more time because I think it was the Raiders game last time that we threw it out there, and it almost hit until it got called back for a penalty. But I'm calling a kick return touchdown this week. The Colts have been so close multiple times this year, from Doolin's being called back for a penalty to Amir Abdullah this past week getting down within the 20-yard line. They've been so close on kick return touchdowns. I think we're getting the kick return touchdown this week. I'll say Ashton Doolin because he's back, but if Amir Abdullah's back there, then I think he's a good guess as well. Those guys have been returning the ball exceptionally well. And I think I would love to see a kick return touchdown. I just love kick return touchdowns. They're so exciting, and they change the overall vibe in the game. In terms of offense, who's going to be the big time producer for the Colts in this one? I think Alec Pierce. We have Zach here commenting if we're going to go Downs or Pierce in fantasy. Oh man, I don't know, because Pierce, I think you have so much potential with that, right? Where Alec Pierce has the potential to get like that 50-yard touchdown. But if you have like a PPR league, Josh Downs is probably your one to go because he's just going to get peppered all those targets. I'm going to go with I want to say Josh Downs has a big week this week. Let's go with Josh Downs having like a good 7-8 catch week for like 60 something, 70 something yards and a score. Yeah, let's go with Josh Downs having a pretty big week as my offensive performer for the team. Just because I think, again, this is going to be one of those game plans where you don't want to push the ball too much, because if you like, the only thing that can really swing this game against you is turnovers down the field and stuff like that. So I think this would be one of those games where you just kind of isolate Downs, isolate Tyler Warren, isolate Jonathan Taylor, and let those guys move that ball forward for you and be productive. So I think like a Josh Downs type performance could really go crazy this weekend, as long as he's out there getting his full snaps. But yeah, we'll see if we get a receiver to go over 100 yards. We haven't really seen many of that this year. I don't think the Colts have had a 100-yard receiver actually this season yet. So we'll see if they can finally get one over that mark there. But yeah, I think offense, I think a lot of guys are going to eat on offense for the 3 quarters they play. And then on defense, I think, what's a good predict? Mekhi Blackman getting another interception would probably be a good one. He's had quite a few this year, and I think his play's been a lot better recently. Can we get a forced fumble this week maybe from the Colts defense? We haven't got like any forced fumbles from the defense outside of that week 1 against Tua, and then week 4 against the Rams with the Mike Hilton hit. So I'm going to say like a Zaire Franklin punch out. We haven't got his peanut punch this year, even though he forced 5 fumbles last season, including a big one against Josh Jacobs at the goal line last year. Let's get a forced fumble from Zaire Franklin. Yeah, let's get a sack fumble from Leatu Latu. Let's go crazy with those predictions there. I think those would be really fun. But yeah, before we get out of here, let's see what some of your comments are here and see what kind of your guys' thoughts are. You guys are pretty excited about Adetomiwa defensive end. That'd be really fun to see. If we got Adetomiwa defensive end, that'd be a blast. Tennessee Titans are a paper bag defense. Yeah, I think the Colts offense is going to put up quite a few points in this one. As long as they're able just to stay, out of penalty trouble, I think the Colts are going to be really good there. Let's get some Riley Leonard to A.D. Mitchell for a touchdown in the 4th quarter. Yeah, it might be one of those days where we see Riley Leonard out there. Again, I really wouldn't talk about this against most teams, but the Tennessee Titans are so like dejected and beaten down right now. And even this past week, they had like the post-coach firing like buzz that teams get, and they still lost by 3 scores to the New England Patriots. Like, I don't know. This Titans team is just historically bad, where the Colts offense this year has been historically great. So I don't see too much of a change coming this weekend. The Colts are just ready for the moment, and the Titans are not right now. So I have very high expectations for the Colts on Sunday. I think it's going to be a very productive and comfortable win for them, and another one that moves them to 7-1. So yeah, I think my score was 34-17. I'm going to go with, and that might be a little bit generous to the Titans, but I try to be a little bit more generous with my score predictions. But 34-17 Colts is what I got. You guys let us know in the comment section below what you think, but I think it's a pretty straightforward game. Colts, just don't shoot yourself in the foot, and we should be able to get into the Steelers week at 7-1. So that's all I really have for you guys. I know I didn't have anything like, over the top here, but again, I think this game is kind of self-explanatory. But thank you guys for making Locked On Colts your first listen today and every single day. The NFL season is finally here, so for your next listen, get a double dose of the Locked On NFL podcast. Tyler the Madman Rowland gives you a shot of NFL espresso to start your football day, while Tony Wiggins takes you into the barbershop for the smoothest breakdowns to end the day. Find Locked On NFL on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. You guys want to become a Locked On Colts insider and chat with us directly and get that insider scoop, follow the link in our show notes. And if you don't already, make sure you're following at Locked On Colts, at Jake Arthur NFL, and at Zach Hicks2, all on socials. Also, subscribe to us on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. We love your guys' ratings, reviews. You guys have a great day, and we'll catch you guys back here on Sunday night after the Colts-Titans game.